What a movie, Mitchells vs. Machines. A real breath of fresh air amongst the barrage of modern day movies, incorporating 2D elements into a 3D production in a way that feels fluid and functionally on theme. Not to mention the plotline and messaging as a whole is top notch, with a fantastic execution of lovable characters and enjoyable moments. They managed to make the phone-hating boomer not cringe. What a miracle! And so I wanted to revisit this hidden goldmine of a movie 2 years on, well, 1.5 years on, by celebrating one of the very best highlights of this highlight of a film. So what was the scene that changed Mitchells vs. Machines? Not just elevating it from the classic good movie to a great one, but to win over us unknowing audience who admittedly came into this with a closed mind, expecting bad boomer humor and a poor anti-youth messaging. Today we're rolling into 1 hour 13 minutes of the total runtime with the turning point of Katie and Rick's relationship. God, how do I get around all the context up to this point? Robot uprising, and practically everyone in the entire human population has already been kidnapped into little pods and stacked together by this point. They're alright though, there's Wi-Fi in there. But the actual crux of the plot we need to be focusing on is the familial connections. Saving all of humanity can wait. Rick Mitchell here is your classic boomer dad with his classic boomer opinions. At least when it comes to technology. He hates phones at the table and doesn't understand technology that well himself. Adding on to it even further, he's a nature's man, loving nothing more than exploring out into the woods, camping together and learning all the classic survival skills like a good Boy Scout. He is the embodiment of nature, whilst his daughter is modern and new and young. She likes her phone like everyone in her generation and even has developed skills in filmmaking specifically with her laptop. And unfortunately, the two of them never really see eye to eye anymore. And all the hijinks of the movie have begun with a force-fed family road trip to take Katie to university as opposed to a simple plane. So the conflict is already there and being dragged along with every single mile. Now, in a prior scene, we have seen that the two used to get on beautifully back when Katie was just a little kid, and it's clear that the dad wants to go back to that golden period. And of course, Katie feels the same way to a certain extent, but he never really appreciates her in her own ideals and uses of technology. So now jump to the start of our current scene, and the parents too have just been nabbed away into the super final evil lair of our corporate overlords. The dad just looking disappointedly as he's failed his kids and sent away. And so, with nothing else to do, the kids Katie and Aaron run. Grand green lighting above them and the synthy soundtrack. Ominous as the robot takeover is fully into effect. And as they hide in the shadows, the robots continue to survey the area to find the last two escaped human beings. And with the dark turn of events of it all, Aaron just breaks down crying. No dogs can cheer him up now. But it's not the robots that have upset him.
Why'd you say all that stuff?
To add more salt into the wound, the Mitchells split up not on good terms, as in their final moments together, Pal, that's the evil AI antagonist here, revealed to the parents Katie's last deception from an hour ago. In trying to motivate the family to get back up on their feet again, Katie went out of her way to give Rick the pep talk he wanted to hear, saying all the classic beats like,
"The world needs you. I need you."
And in the moment, it seemed like they had skipped straight to the end of that story arc, with the two of them bonding together again and compromising on their differences, only for Katie to turn around moments afterwards in secret to spill...
Oh, I was just telling him what he wants to hear. I didn't mean a word of that. I just want to get my future back and get away forever.
It was all just a lie to get Rick back into motion again, emotional manipulation at its finest. And its words you can tell straight away hurt Aaron in the background. And now, having actually reached that arc ending, what does Katie have to say for herself?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to... I don't know.
Regardless, it's where they are now. And so in search of some fruit snacks, they both then come across that age-old camcorder. The very one Katie has been using all trip to document the journey and vlog her way through the pain.
Is that what you're looking for?
It's those childhood memories again. But before we can understand it properly here, let's revisit the moment earlier in the runtime at the 13-minute mark outright. Rick is having a sad nostalgic moment to himself watching these old tapes with Katie. We see her happily on his shoulders, greeting him ecstatically at the door and dancing like goofballs in the kitchen. and some of the less fun times of crying the first day of school, and feeling better after getting a wooden moose.
You know how to say I love you in moose language? Let me just...
Before Rick wipes his face and gets back into action for the next day. Flash forward again to Aaron catching these scenes himself, and he's just watching them silently. He's at that numb phase where he's just soaking it in. Not too unlike Dad, really. Until he eventually pipes up with...
How far back do these go?
Hey, Katie.
Skimming past all the prior footage, or at least whatever's left after Katie has been unknowingly recording over them this whole trip, until we come to the surprise reveal...
Bye-bye, hon. You ready, hon?
It's just a single shot, and yet it tells 1,000 words. Rick has always been a nature's man, familiar with all the tools of the trade in regards to survival and camping, camouflage in one deleted scene and so on, so you know that a wooden house in the middle of nowhere would be the idyllic house for a guy like this. And then you see the sold sign.
Almost.
I know this is hard for you.
The sky draped in golden sunset, perfect for the shining of the golden days as well as symbolic of the coming end. It's a side of Rick we have not seen this entire movie. We only know the aftermath and not the somber before times he had. And yet, with everything we've learned about Rick up until now, we would imagine this is a hard sacrifice to finally have to make.
Nah. It's easy.
But then there it is. As much as Rick has shown his love for the great outdoors, nothing could ever possibly outweigh his love for his daughter and his family. And only now is KT truly coming to terms with that. And that one glance from the camera tells you it all. Animated characters can act with their eyes now. And then, for one final punch to the gut...
One last... something to remember the place by.
That tiny wooden moose. It was a part of the old house all along. And as Katie pulls it out from her bag herself, you can remember all the other times it's cropped up in the movie. Right before Aaron gets the camcorder, Katie has to go through it first. When Rick is having his trip down memory lane, he's stroking it after wiping his face, and it's the very gift that calmed young Katie down on her first day of school. Perhaps the reason Katie even is accidentally taping over it on this road trip is because Rick put the tape in to watch it the night before the travels. By the way, I'm making these every week now, so subscribe if you want to see more. And as Katie looks at the wooden moose with new revelations, it all gets to her.
Oh, man.
Before turning that sadness into motivation.
Aaron, I'm gonna make it up to all of you. And I think I know how.
And with that, they skirt out of their little hole and return to the evil lair. What follows is a bombastic display of destroying robots with a pug's face, suddenly having incredible mother-protecting skills, monologuing about the goodness of humanity, and then destroying everything at a hoverboard laser gun fest. You know, the classic jumping off point from a movie about familial bonds. You can always expect a movie to have some sort of sad turning point right before the final act, but this one continues to blow us out of the water for how well interconnected it all feels, and how it rolls out so naturally to get across that point. Not to mention the replay value as you learn to watch that wooden moose. And of course, the messaging itself strikes right through the heart of many very real people. There are a lot of families who don't see eye to eye, whether it be on nature versus technology or some other thing. But it is also the case for a lot of families that hidden sacrifices have been made for the sake of families that often goes underappreciated or unnoticed. And seeing the way these two make up in a genuinely realistic way, forgetting the hoverboard laser fight of course, is something that is incredibly rare to see in an animated movie these days. So when it hits right, it really hits it out of the park. Mitchell's vs. Machines is chock full of all sorts of great moments and boosts of animation, but this is the scene that struck a chord with me, and is the one I remember the most after I watched it for the first time. Well, that and the scenes of Rick using computers, of course. Who am I kidding? That should have been in the running for best scene. Forget this emotional crap. But yeah, coming out on the other side of this scene, I was more than satisfied with the existence of this movie. I came into this skeptical as hell, waiting for a boomer humor trash party on the young and their goddamn phones, and came out of it with a beautiful blending of this generational divide that puts in a good perspective on both sides of the table. Plus, if you're gonna shoot down technology, at least they did it in the right way.
It's almost like stealing people's data and part of an unregulated tech monopoly was a bad thing.
Yeah, that wasn't your best thought.
Hell yeah. But anyway, that's enough gushing about a 2-minute segment of a movie. I'd best end it off here. So for now, my name's been Dash. No, it's not. My name's not Dash. My name's been Dazz. Gush about Mitchells vs. Machines in the comments or bring it up on our Discord server, where you can send suggestions as well. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.